What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, he's the third child. It's Desra. Yeah, 10 points for anyone who gets that. I had a feeling you wouldn't.
I didn't. I'm actually the first child. First of four. And sitting across from me is Brian Paul.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we sit around and we blow the dust off of an old PlayStation VR game. We check it out, see if it's been improved over time. We see how it stood the test of time.
Yes.
And then we sit around and talk about it for about 30 minutes and let you know if it's still worth it.
Yeah.
Or if it was ever worth it at all.
Or if it was ever worth it. Or, well, we'll talk about that.
That being said, what game did we decide to talk about this week, Desra?
This week we're talking about Archangel.
By Skydance Interactive.
Yes.
Came out July 18th, 2017.
Yep.
Just over a year ago.
Yeah, almost to the day, actually.
Time flies.
Yeah, actually, well, yeah.
No, it's this is going to air in 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay, well, close enough.
Des is technically on vacation right now with
I know.
the magic of video.
Yeah, so, and actually, I want to throw in a little thing about Skydance Interactive. I wrote that down, Skydance, that sounds familiar. Where do I know that from? It's actually a spin-off of Skydance Media.
Okay, it's not helping me out.
Well, you may have seen some of their recent movies, Jack Reacher 1 and 2.
Nope.
Star Trek Beyond,
Nope.
the other Star Trek that came out right before
Never heard of that.
The new Mission Impossible movies,
Nope.
Ghost Protocol.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, so this is a
A
production.
little independent studio.
Right.
Making these stuff never heard of.
Well, and here's the thing, this Skydance Media came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Is getting these huge, blockbuster movies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Where did they come from? Well, it turns out it's run by David Ellison, who may not sound familiar, but he's Larry Ellison's son.
Again, not familiar.
Larry Ellison is the guy behind Oracle and one of the richest people on Earth.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so, Daddy's money bought him a production company.
Will you adopt me? Find me a YouTube channel?
I could be totally off base there. Maybe David had nothing and
Do we need to edit that out?
No, I'd probably.
It sounds kind of mean.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But
We're keeping it in.
yeah, they have money.
Okay.
But the good news is they decided to spend some of their money making this game.
So yeah, I remember the hype leading up to this game, because there was a lot of talk about it and say, oh, this development team, Skydance Interactive, who we didn't at the time we didn't know anything about.
No.
They were saying, oh, we're making this AAA epic VR experience, and it's called Archangel VR.
Yeah.
It's coming out for all the major VR platforms.
Eventually.
And it was one of those weird things where leading up to launch, something seemed fishy.
Yeah.
We were like, why don't we know? The game's coming out in a week. Why don't we know anything about it?
Right.
It's like okay, well, we know it's gonna be $40. Why don't we know anything about this game? And so I think it was the night before or 2 nights before it came out, we finally saw this 5 minutes or something of gameplay.
Yeah.
And we're and everyone at the same time kind of went, oh, it's a rail shooter.
Yeah.
They were this big AAA experience, and then we finally saw it and we're like, oh, it's a rail shooter.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a rail shooter where you play a 6-story tall robot.
That's a thing. Yeah, it's a giant mech.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's, I don't know. So yeah, you do play this mech, and you got your 2 huge arms, which is fantastic. You've got weapons mounted on them. And here's the thing, I liked the MechWarrior games. I actually played the pen and paper role-playing game.
Wow.
I played a few of the actual, different versions of the game. There was one for, was it GameCube? No.
I know that the
Xbox.
MechWarrior had, I think, Xbox had 2 MechWarrior games, I think. Yeah.
I played it for the Xbox, and those mechs are basically tanks with legs. They don't really, there's only a few of them that actually have arms, because you don't really need arms for most things. And so that was kind of the weird thing. You do use your arms in this game, but it's really kind of oh, there's a bridge. Punch it.
Yeah, well, you do use your arms for quite a bit in this.
Well, for aiming the weapons and things like that.
And your shields.
And your shields, sure.
And actually, the shields come into play big time, especially in terms of aiming them.
Absolutely.
But we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
I'm moving ahead.
It's totally cool. Actually, I come from a different mech background altogether. In fact, my introduction was a reference to Neon Genesis Evangelion, one of the greatest animes ever made. Obviously, all about mechs.
Neo Geo Evangelion.
There we go. Yeah, I'm a big nerd, right? And I'm a big fan of anime, especially even Hideo Kojima's Zone of the Enders, all of the anime inspired mechs. That's my favorite kind of stuff. And it seems like this mech is somewhat inspired by that to a degree because it's got like arms and legs and it's, the pilot inside is doing all.
And that's what I was going to get to is that you've got your Gundams, you've got your mechs, your anime style. I want to pull a big ass energy sword out.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
If I've got these hands and I've got these arms, and you're nodding to the anime inspired mech, I want to pull the nonsensical 30-foot long sword, but you don't get to do that. So
it's incredibly phallic to me.
Well, sure, obviously.
Pull a 30-foot sword.
Again, fencing instructor.
There you go. So we alluded to this being a rail shooter.
Yes.
But let's separate it. Let's differentiate it from, say, something like Rush of Blood.
Something like Rush of Blood.
Right? Because Rush of Blood is like a very, very, very rail shooter.
Literally rail shooter.
On a rail shooter.
Yes.
And all you do in that game is shoot stuff.
Yeah. I'd say in this case, I think the biggest difference is you couldn't navigate in this game. When you're in the middle of like a full-on battle, you are so pressed with just keeping yourself alive. You mentioned the shields.
Yeah.
What you didn't mention is the shields disappear pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do have a limit.
Yeah, and so you have to, really time that very well to decide, okay, I'm going to protect myself here, shoot here, crap, that's about to die, so I need to stop that shield, let it regenerate, and pull it back up. And, I mean, there's tons of enemies everywhere, and, by the time you're through all that, just thinking about having to navigate and move your character around the battlefield as well, that'd be too much.
Yeah. I will ask, since we're on the topic, Rush of Blood didn't make you sick at all. Des is our resident motion sickness guy.
First time I played it, yes. Okay. After I revisited about, I don't know, maybe 6 months later.
No problems.
I sat down and played like the whole game through, no problem.
What did this do to you?
Nothing.
No problems?
No problem at all. Yep.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah. The only thing that worried me a little bit was it's a nice touch to reality, but as you move your head around in the real space, your mech's head moves.
Yeah. And
there is a little bit of lag.
Yep.
But the good news is the lag isn't in your view, the lag is in your view of the cockpit.
And I think all of the lag in this game is very, very intentional, because what you're seeing in the game, your move controllers are represented by these, they look like staple guns. And they're just floating in space. So you can see that your hands are doing this one-to-one thing. And that's what your pilot's doing. But outside of the pilot, outside of the mech, you do see what those staple guns, they do look like staple guns. It's ridiculous.
They kind of do. Yeah.
They're controlling these big, giant mech arms, and like they are doing the one-to-one movement that you're doing, but like a mech would control, I'm assuming in real life.
Yeah.
It's a little delayed, but only slightly. Like just enough to make it feel like you're piloting a mech. Right.
Well, like you're moving this huge. I mean, it says in the game it's like 2,500 tons. Yeah. So that arm is probably a good 500 tons by itself.
And it's like 6 stories tall. Is that what they keep saying?
Yeah. So it does give you that feeling, and again, this is what VR is great for. It really gives you the feeling of being this massively huge construction moving through the battlefield.
Yeah. Can we talk about the graphics?
Yeah, we should talk about the graphics.
We should. I remember this game. I haven't played this since review.
Okay.
Like we just said, it came out about a year ago.
Yep.
I played it. I enjoyed it to an extent, and then I didn't touch it again until today.
Okay.
Literally today, I played through the whole thing just for this show.
Yeah.
And I was floored.
Yeah.
Floored by how good the graphics are. When Skydance says, "Hey, we're going to make a AAA game for PlayStation VR," they might not have meant, "Hey, it's a 20-hour game," or it's or it's got full locomotion or this kind of stuff. But man, when it came to visuals, they nailed the AAA look.
I will mostly agree with that.
Yeah.
The mech itself looks amazing.
Stunning.
It is so clear. It's like, again, we've talked about other games that kind of pull this off. Developers, you do not have excuses. The hardware can make things look good.
Yeah.
Here's Archangel, came out a whole year ago. All right. So yeah, the mech looks great. A lot of the energy effects of the different weapons and all that are fantastic.
The particles, like when they hit a building or something and the particles explode.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it looks almost like when they hit it, almost looks like exploding fireworks. Tons of particles in these effects.
The design of the large ships and enemies looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Where the ball gets dropped is your backgrounds. Like your cities and things like that seem a little flat and almost seem like procedurally generated.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that. And now, and I think the difference for me is 1 year ago when I played this, it was on the PlayStation 4 Standard.
Right.
When I played it today, on the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Okay.
And I got to say that I was blown away by the cities. I was blown away by the backgrounds. I was blown away by the environments. Like, I mean, this stylistically, first and foremost, this is like post-apocalyptic, once upon a time bustling metropolis, like tall skyscrapers and glass buildings. I mean, everything you'd expect a big city to look like, taken over by like desert sands.
Oh yeah, this is like Chicago. Literally, I think that the first city you go through is Chicago.
It is,
yeah. And it was.
Right, and it's and man, does it play the part perfectly? So like I was like stylistically super impressed.
Yeah.
But then going back to it on the Pro, I was like, damn, this looks good.
All right, so
everything looks good.
I've only played on the OG, and we probably should have done our homework and had me play it on the Pro too beforehand. But
hey, well, this is perfect. You put it on one, I put it on the other. Now we have our comparison speech over.
And the other thing I want to point out, and again, Gold Star, and again, developers, you have no excuse. The voice acting.
Voice acting is, I wrote that down somewhere here. It's incredible.
Yeah, you can definitely tell like this is a company that is used to producing like actual content for real people to enjoy. The story is a huge part of this game.
Yeah, let's take a breather from the game itself and talk about the story. It's not
too much.
Can we spoil the introduction?
Oh yeah, I think the introduction is fine.
Okay, yeah, we won't tell you anything. Nothing past the introduction. We won't spoil a thing past the point you take control of the mech.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, because it's a long ass introduction.
It's what is it, like 15 minutes almost?
It's easily 10 minutes, if not 15, before you're even allowed to do anything.
Yeah,
you're sitting there, you're riding on a subway. Your kid is playing a Nintendo Switch that he like totally hacked. And created a video game on.
All right, and that was one thing. You play that game for about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
and then it goes away.
Yeah,
it's like I was kind of enjoying it.
I kind of want that to be an extra.
Yeah.
I want to play that game and like make it an arcade high score thing.
Or at least like revisit it later. Unless I missed something. That was it. That was it. Okay.
But also, how cool is that?
Yeah.
It's like they actually created this little, basic game for just to pass the time while you're hanging out with your kid.
Yeah. And if you see the kid in the introduction, you think, oh yeah, that kid's a goner. Yeah, kid's a goner.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Kid does not last very long. You do get to choose who you want to be, which I found fascinating.
Gabe or Gabby?
Yeah. Last name Walker.
Walker.
Yeah. It's
because you're in a mech.
I was just thinking that. I was like, that's too stupid to make a joke about. And I was like,
Gabe, Gabriel.
Yeah.
Angels.
Oh, hey, I didn't even think about that. That was stupid. I should have thought of that.
Yeah, you guys could have dug a little deeper on that one.
Can we start the episode over? I wasn't smart enough to even pick up on it. They dug just fine. Yeah. Listen, so it's this big long introduction. You're sitting on the subway. You're taking your kid. It's like bring your kid to work day.
Yeah, bring your kid to the super top secret rebel base of the future. That like this is the one weapon.
10 years old.
Yeah, I don't get that one.
Yeah. Yeah, the kid bites it, and then next thing you know, you are fighting Humanix. Humanix is like the big evil Walmart corporation that took over the world post-apocalyptic.
Right, and of course they're saying that they're there to save the world, and it's that part of the plot is pretty B-movie, Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah. That's not what we're talking about when we're talking about the plot is great. It's the characterizations and the relationships between the characters. It's better than a lot of crap I've seen on TV lately. Yeah, so this is a rail shooter at heart, but the entire time you're playing the game, there's this constant radio chatter going on, and it's like, first of all, it's important, right? Yes. If somebody says, you got bogeys on your 6, that means like you have bogeys on your 6. It really is happening. It's not just like random chatter. Yeah. They're actually helping you out. They're like, oh, you got ground troops at 2 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, 2, and I'm like, 1, 2. Well, that's about a half hour from now, so I'm good. Plenty of time. They're on their way, and you have just enough time to look over there and to spot them right before they start firing. It's all perfectly timed, well acted, and then between levels, you actually have time to just sit and talk to all of them. Right. And this is a point I want to make too. So you may be trained from like playing games like this. You have 3 or 4 people you can talk to. Yeah. And so, okay, I'll talk to person 1, then talk to person 2, talk to person 3, then go to the map. No. Talk to person 1, talk to person 2, then go back and talk to person 1 again. Yeah. They're going to have different things to say depending on what order of people you talk to. Yeah. So you have a while to go through and actually really get to know these characters, which adds some stakes to eventually what ends up happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes the story more engrossing. And if you are interested in playing this game, make sure you're interested in like taking the whole thing in.
Yeah.
Don't just play it for the action parts, because if that's what you're doing, you're going to be kind of bored during certain parts, because there is a lot of talking. There's a lot of stuff between the action. And it's like, if you're not taking that in, then you're missing out on about half of what Skydance was trying to deliver here.
Right. And I will say, as much as I do like the story, that is one part where the game kind of falls flat, is the checkpoint system.
I'm with you on this, yeah.
When you get to the really difficult kind of mini boss level or whatever, you have some engrossing storyline to kind of set up the stakes for the battle that's about to happen. You bite it, you lose, no problem. It sets you back, not to be the beginning of that little mini battle, it sets you to the beginning of the story bit that introduced the battle.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing the story is good, because you're going to hear a lot of certain sections of it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. It's very strangely placed. All the checkpoints, or most of the checkpoints. It doesn't always become an issue.
Yeah.
And I will say that, like, this game's it's fairly difficult even on the easiest setting.
Yeah.
So I think some people would be like, well, what's the big deal? You're going to see some of the story a few times, but you might see the entire story a few times.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing just a couple pieces here and there. It's easy to die until you get used to the controls, and then even then it's still easy to die.
Yeah.
A lot of the enemies have attack patterns that you need to get used to and start working with and fight and learn how to fight against them. And until you do that, you might die once or twice before you actually you're able to do it. Right. I'm just watching that hull integrity level at the top of the screen go down constantly.
And that's actually another thing what were we talking about? Rez, I think, a couple weeks ago, where it's like, you're so intense here that you really can't flick your eyes away to see all your monitors. It's kind of the same thing in this, because the cockpit is so spacious, and that's really cool. But your hull integrity is up here. Your ammo left is here and here, and it's actually hard to look away long enough to see that. In fact, the other problem is, because if you move your head, your mech moves its head. You really have to kind of like just look up with your eyes really high to see that. The good news is it's not that important, because M1KL.
Yeah, I just call him M1. Yeah.
Yeah, he's your the AI that kind of helps you run the thing. He'll tell you, oh, you're down to 20% on this, and your weapons, you technically have unlimited ammo, but all the weapons have a cooldown period.
Yep.
So you fire a bunch, and then it stops. So you got to switch over to another weapon. You start off with just like a basic rocket and a basic machine gun, but as you go, you can unlock and upgrade till eventually you get like I think one of my favorites is the railgun. Yeah, which is great because there's these ships. What are they called? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Enforcers. Oh, such a pain in the ass when you first start.
There's such a pain. And
then eventually you get the railgun. You're like,
yeah, you're out of here.
Yeah, it feels good.
It does feel good, and you feel powerful. Just to give a rundown of everything that you're doing in this game, as you said, you do have your hands mimic 1-to-1 the mech's hands and arms, and that feels great. You get to punch a few things, not a lot of things. It's like oh, there's this overpass that we need to walk through instead of walking underneath, so let's punch the crap out of it.
Here's what I read in one of the developer's description of the game, and that never came up for me, and I don't know, maybe I was missing something. Were you ever able to grab a ship, just like as it flew by?
I don't. Today, you'll see in the footage, I wasn't very good at the game.
Okay.
And there were a lot of ships that got past me.
Yeah.
The last thing I ever thought to do was grab one. Because I was like, oh, just hold my shield up and hopefully they don't hurt me.
Right.
But no, I never thought to grab them. So that's actually a good question. Did you try?
No, I didn't, because I read that after I played it.
Yeah, I'm curious.
One of the earliest launch announcements for this game, so you get to play this 60-foot mech and grab enemy ships. And I was like, I
want to grab it with one hand and just punch the crap out of it.
Because it's super. The one way you get repaired in this game is one of your cohorts. There. Oh, we didn't mention that there are 4 ships that are flying around with you most of the game.
Yeah, three other ships, right? It's Rambler, Liberty, and Bulldog.
Yes.
Yeah.
They'll launch these like health kits at you, and you have to catch them in order for them to work.
Yeah.
And it's way harder than you might think.
Oh, I never missed one.
Really?
Ever.
I was missing them all the time.
I was easily just reached out, grabbed them, and then you push the move and the trigger, and to kind of squish them, and then these nanobots come out and repair all of your issues.
It's much easier. So this is the one thing where it's much easier with the DualShock. Because with the DualShock, there's just a button, like you hold a button down and they kind of suck to your controller. That's the only thing that's easier.
But otherwise, the DualShock is garbage for this game.
Oh, it's so awful.
It doesn't feel right at all because you can't control your arm separately.
Right. You use the controller to kind of move, and you can use your head to aim. But the whole point is you've got two giant arms, and you want to use your two giant arms. And
I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, if you only have a DualShock 4, don't even bother.
Yeah, you may want to miss this one.
Yeah. Man, there's still so much more to cover here. Man, I got so much. How long was this game? How long did it take you to beat this game?
Let's see. I would say if I subtract all the times I died and restarted again because of that, I'd say if you're good at this and make it through fairly easily, 3.5 hours, maybe 4.
Yeah, I was on the 3 to 4 hour mark here, right. And honestly, I want to say it's about 3 to 4 hours on easy. If you're blasting through this on easy, if you only have to restart a few checkpoints, we're looking at 3.5 hours for max.
I did normal, and normal is a slog. It is tough.
Yeah. And then there's also hard and permadeath.
Yeah.
And I think permadeath, if I'm right,
you die and that's it.
You get 1 life.
Yeah.
And this is. I mean, I don't know how many lives I used going through this game, but it was easily more than 10.
One thing I do want to point out, since we're talking about kind of the end of the game, and I don't think this is a spoiler, you can probably figure out this is going to happen. The whole game, you're just the biggest, baddest thing on the battlefield.
Okay.
I'm
so curious. I'm like, how are you spoiling something? What's happening?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And one thing, way back to Ancient Emulator kind of taught us is VR makes boss battles, because you can see how freaking big they are. And after a whole game where you've been the biggest thing around, your boss battle is something that towers over you. And I'm not going to
that's not a spoiler, but I do think it's something to look forward to for sure. The sense of scale in this game is amazing. When I was talking about the beginning of the game, when it's all like the deserts and stuff and the skyscrapers.
You see the little people running around.
The little people running around. You're killing infantry, like on ground infantry, and you're just spraying bullets at them, right across. And they're tiny.
And don't underestimate them though. The rockets those guys carry are pretty bad.
But when you're as tall as the skyscraper, that's awesome. Yeah, pretty good stuff. Now, I'm so sorry. 2, 3 to 4. The other difficulty modes are super difficult.
Yes.
But one of the biggest complaints I have about this game is that there's no new game plus. When I spend a whole game.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
When I spend the whole game blasting through, and I'm building up my character, right? I'm unlocking stats. I'm unlocking weapon upgrades. I'm unlocking shield power-ups. I'm doing all that stuff the whole time, and at the very end, everything's not quite unlocked yet. I haven't unlocked every single thing.
Right.
And they're like, why don't you start this game again, Brian, on a harder difficulty? And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. The second it's over, I want to jump right back in with my new built-up dude and go through on permadeath and see if I can get through on 1 life. And they're like, no, you starting over from scratch, buddy. I was like, damn it.
You don't carry over is that only if you go in another difficulty?
Yes.
Okay, but if you go back and play, say, normal again, you still keep your stuff.
Is that the case?
I thought so.
Oh, okay.
Well, we may have to delete this whole section.
Now we have to check this out.
Yeah, I thought that if you stayed in normal and you went back and played again, you kept your stuff. I just assumed that the same thing would happen if you went to another difficulty level.
I'm pretty sure that all of the difficulty levels are separate from each other.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And please, in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But that's what I like to do. My favorite thing about Resident Evil 7, besides it being an amazing game and scarier than all scary, is that it's like this perpetually running game. You run through once on normal and you unlock Madhouse, and you run through on Madhouse, and you're constantly unlocking and making your character better.
Yeah.
And just there's something extra every single time that gets added to the thing that you got the last time, and it gives you an excuse to play the game 10 times. This is not a long game, and I need an excuse to go back and play it again. And it's a little unfortunate that that the next time you play it, there aren't more things to unlock. It is still the same basic stats that you're unlocking the entire time.
Yeah, I would also say with a game that is so story driven that for me, there wasn't a whole lot of reason to go back and play again. I felt like at the end of this, there's a pretty good resolution of the thing that are happening in the movie, let's call it. Yeah. That I felt like, oh, I had this entertainment experience that is now over.
Yeah.
And it definitely sets up for a sequel, which,
totally down.
Yeah. Although I guess their next project is a Walking Dead VR game. So,
You know what? Here, we need to talk about that too.
Walking Dead?
We need a little bit. So The Walking Dead, as of this filming,
yes,
has not been confirmed for any VR platforms. It says it's coming to VR platforms,
right?
And they didn't specify PSVR yet. No. Here's my only issue, and again, we're filming this a little bit like a week or two before it airs,
right?
So things may have changed. My issue is that on PC, Archangel is a different game now.
Okay.
Archangel is now $20. They've dropped the price again.
Okay.
What we didn't say was that 2 weeks after launch, they dropped the price from $40 to $30. It's like Skydance realized, we made a
$40 was way much.
We made a major pricing error. The game probably didn't sell nearly as well as they expected it to. And they dropped the price within 2 weeks to $30.
Yeah.
It's now down to $20 on PC, and it has this huge DLC patch, or big DLC pack, I guess you'd call it, and it's Archangel. Where the fuck is it? I had all this information. Yeah. Archangel Hellfire. It's not even called Archangel anymore. It's called Archangel Hellfire. It's got PvP. It's off rails. They do give you the ability to do full locomotion, move wherever you want. They give you all these different mechs to fight with, and there's 4 new maps, new cockpit control. So you actually control the mech from the inside. It's like.
Yeah.
This is like a major update, not to mention the major price break.
Here's the thing. I saw that when I was looking up Archangel. I'm like, oh, this is so different. This must just be a different game with a similar name.
Yeah. No.
I just completely ignored it because I figured it must. I thought I was.
It is the updated version, and so we had pressed Skydance at a certain point saying, when's the PSVR version coming? Yeah. And I think we just kind of got these vague, we don't know answers. Right. And so the point is that if maybe Archangel didn't sell as well as they wanted it to on PlayStation VR, we don't know. We don't have those sales figures. So we actually don't know if we're ever getting Archangel Hellfire, or if they've given up on PSVR support completely. So this Walking Dead Saints and Sinners that's coming 2019, we don't technically know if we're getting that.
No.
Which is kind of lame.
Yeah, it'd
be nice if they were a little more transparent about what their VR plans are. They could definitely ramp up the sales. The reason we didn't do this episode sooner is because we were waiting for the Hellfire DLC to come out. That's why I never asked Des to play this game earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, at a certain point, Hellfire is going to come out. It's going to totally radically change the game.
Right.
It's going to give us reason to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that didn't happen yet. So we was like, you know what? Let's just suck it up and do the episode.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a huge shame, and again, I'd hate to see if that was the reason they biffed the price, so the word got out that this is $40 for such a short game, don't bother, and now they're not going to release this stuff for us. The other thing is too, though, on the flip side, we know secondhand that all these developers have a hard time getting the Sony certification. Maybe there's something with the PvP and all these different maps that just are not cutting it.
Who knows?
Yeah,
it's a very good question. I'd like to know the answers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think we're at that point.
Yeah.
And so it's time to rate the game.
Yeah, so our rating system is pretty simple. It's 1, 2, or 3.
And I'd like to make an addendum.
Oh, okay.
I've been noticing that I feel like every week we sort of separate 1 further from 2 and 3, where 1 is like the pinnacle of all gaming. You need a PSVR to play this game. If you love PSVR, you need this game. If you don't have a PSVR, you need to buy one to get this game.
Okay.
It's a little too much.
A little too much.
That's totally true for 1s.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think of 1s as like, not that we use numerical rating scales here, but like an 8.5 or higher.
Okay.
Like just in that vein of like
into math.
Well, in that vein of, hey, this game is really good, and we think you will really like it, pretty much no matter what.
Okay.
But I don't want to make 1 such an elite score that we can't give them out more often.
Okay.
Because I think 1 is a great number.
Yeah.
It's the loneliest number. It's my favorite number. Actually, that's not true. My favorite number is 99,201.
But 2 can be as sad as 1.
So
loneliest number since the number 1.
Now that we've explained what 1 is, why don't you tell people what 2 is?
A 1 is a must buy. Yeah. Let's just leave it at that. A 2 is, it's okay. If it's a genre you particularly like, or if it's on sale, definitely worth checking out. It's not going to hurt you. It might even be something nice. 3 is, I'm just so floored by this whole one thing. Now I'm questioning everything I know about the scale.
3 is don't buy this.
Yeah, 3 is don't buy this.
Yeah.
Friends don't let friends buy crap. We need to vote with our dollars, and we need to tell these developers no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Also, like again, we want to make sure that we can give out 3s regularly too.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't have to be total garbage, but it can be just a game that's like there's nothing redeeming there at all, right?
Yeah.
Like we're like even on sale, it's like probably more of a waste of your time than your money.
If you were a teacher, you would say, no, you can do better, and hand it back to the developer.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. That's a nice visual. I've been on the receiving end of that visual very often.
Yeah.
That being said, Des, I'm turning.
I know. Everything's crazy.
You usually ask me.
Dogs and cats sleeping together.
Mass hysteria. What would you rate this game?
I'm going to put this in a 2. I think, especially with the price it was at, it's one that it's on sale fairly frequently ish.
So
yeah,
you got it on sale.
I did
very recently.
Yes.
It was under $10.
Yeah.
It was like $7.99 or something like that. Okay.
Worth every penny.
So it's definitely an $8 game.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely like. I mean, here's the thing. I sound like I'm kind of trashing it, but the first thing I told Brian when I first powered up was like, oh, this is a finished game. There's so many games we've gotten that we've had to take a look at that are just, no, these people were not professional. They're not, this was not finished.
Yeah.
This looks like a team of professionals worked very hard to make this look as good as they could. So, yes, pick it up on sale, but they deserve the money. 40. Yeah,
well, it's not 40 anymore. It's 30 now.
Yeah, 30. That's 30 is still a little
totally heard.
But 20, absolutely. This is absolutely a $20 game. 30, if you really think the work, their effort was worth it, then yeah. But, anyways, so what do you think? I should be clear. I was a 2, is what I said.
Yeah, I forget that. I need to start putting the scale up on the screen and having a big like numerical number over your head. Maybe a Roman numeral.
I wonder what would happen if you added up our total numbers of what we've given. Like you just add up every 1, 2, or 3 you gave, and who would have a higher number?
I'd be up to like 6, and you'd be up to about 50. That's a thing, right? I like everything. VR makes everything better, and I like everything.
It does make everything better.
I feel like sometimes I'm just too forgiving. That being said,
this is a 4.
Yeah, no, I started this up today, and I was like, I was watching the kid at the beginning, and I was like, all right,
you're dead.
Here's that big long story I'm in for, and I was like, all right, and I was like, just waiting for it to be over, because I'd seen it before. If it's your first time watching it, it'll probably be more engaging.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I got out onto the battlefield, like I felt something.
Yeah.
Like I felt a kind of a tingle through my whole body. I was like, I kind of feel like I'm in this mech, and I was playing sitting down using the move controllers, and I kind of felt like I was in the cockpit of this mech.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I was just so, I couldn't, you'll see in this video, I couldn't stop doing this with my arm just because it was like so cool to like rotate my arms and, like as a tech demo, as like that alone, I was like, I love this. And like I said, I was very bad at it at the beginning today. And as I got into it, this like whole super hot like Zen thing started like waving over me.
Okay.
Where I started getting into the zone where I was like, all right, shield up here, shield back up over here, and it was like just this constant back and forth where I was like, I feel powerful, because like I almost like in my head counting down the seconds that where my shield was just gonna like fizzle out, and I knew when it was gonna happen, and so I let the other shield take over, and I was like, the fact that you have to actually block bullets with your shield. It's not just like, oh, push a button, the shield goes up. It's I gotta pull the shield up and defend where the bullets are being fired. Like I gotta protect myself. Yep. There's something very magical about this game, and the longer I played, the more I liked it, and I just there was really just this sense of place for me where like I was very, very engaged in what my teammates were saying. I was very engaged in the story, and I was all about being this guy in this mech who's totally pissed off because his son's dead.
Oh yeah.
And with all of that being said, I'm still giving this game the strongest 2 I've ever given.
Right?
Because it's just too. With that new game plus issue that I talked about, hopefully I'm accurate about that. I'm leaving it in. I'll let the game cast figure it out. with the relatively short length of the game, as you said, it's a movie that like once you've done it once, adding difficulty to it doesn't really make me want to go back and do it again, especially if there's not that new Game Plus option. And but the game itself is so much fun while it lasts. It's just slightly overpriced at its current price point still.
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on exactly what's missing. I think there's just a lot of little things that just kind of add up to it's not quite in that pinnacle. And I'm gonna stick to that one as like, oh, you must buy this. It's not quite there, and I just a few nudges here and there, and it would have been.
Yeah, and that's my thing is that like it's so close to being a 1. It's so close to like I really think that if you bought this game at the current price of $30, you would have the exact same experience as me. You'd get into it and you'd be like, wow, this is damn cool. This feels good. It plays good. Everything about this is good, but it's just not there. It's just not a must-have game. And for $20, if you get this for $20 or under, absolutely do it.
Oh yeah, no question.
This is an incredible VR experience. Yeah, it's just not a must-have game. It misses that by the smallest margin ever.
So can we have it like our first variable vote? If it's under 20, it's a 1. If it's over 20, it's a 2.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Although I guess that's the definition of a 2, isn't it? So never mind.
That is the definition of a 2. If it's on sale, you should probably pick it up, and you should definitely pick this up again if you get it for $20 or less. And the fact that you got it for like $7.99 is an amazing deal. Right. And if you didn't buy it during that, I don't know what you were thinking. We should have put this video up like 3 weeks ago.
That's right.
Oh well. All right, that pretty much does it for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. In the comments below,
tell us how wrong we are.
Tell us how wrong we are about everything, about life in general. Also, we want to know what you think of this game. And we also want to know what other games you want us to play, what other games you want us to talk about. The only reason we did Res Infinite and Archangel is because you told us to. Right. So, what else do you want us to play?
Who wants Skyrim Episode 4?
I mean, according to the numbers, apparently everybody.
Everyone.
That was really strange. It's like those are our most viewed videos ever. All right. For another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Des.
And we'll see you next week.